Alright guys, so before we begin this video, actually we've already finished the video, so you can't see any of this, but what I wanted to let you guys know is that down in the description you're going to start seeing links that I've posted to things from Amazon. A lot of it's going to be the stuff that I use here, a lot of the tools that I use here, a lot of the equipment I use, some of the parts I use, and a lot of the supplies I use. Now I have to let you know that those are affiliate links. When you click them to buy the supplies that you may need, you are actually helping to support this channel, which I appreciate greatly. So if for some reason you see something you like and you want to buy it, click that link for me, hit up Amazon. I get a little bit of, a kickback from Amazon for you using that link to buy the product, and that helps support the channel. And as you guys know, I'll never ask you directly for money or donations or Patreon or anything like that. You are at your own free will, and whatever money ends up with this channel, I hope you guys get a good product in return. With that being said, you'll also notice that directly below, there are now links to more Fab merchandise. We have t-shirts, we have hooded sweatshirts, we have tank tops, and we have women's fitted tank tops. So if you would be so kind and you want to rep more Fab and you kind of like the logo, or you like me, or even if you don't like me, check out the clothing. We have all different sizes, all different colors. Teespring's a pretty good company to deal with. I've dealt with them in the past. Their stuff is pretty high quality, so most of the stuff is Gildan, which is the industry standard. So if you guys want some more Fab merch, it's right down there. And I appreciate every single one of you guys. You don't have to buy something. You can still enjoy my videos for free, but I'm honestly going to thank you if you do. So let's get on with this video. What's going on, everybody? So behind me we have the hip hop artist special, the Cadillac Escalade, and it has a bad wheel bearing. So we're going to go through replacing the wheel bearing on this thing. It's going to be pretty much the same for the Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon, Escalade, Chevy pickup truck, pretty much all of them. So not a huge deal to replace, but I'll zoom you guys in real quick and you can see how bad this one actually is. Alright, so check this out. That's all wheel bearing movement. I don't know how well you guys saw that in the video, but let's zoom out so you don't look up my nostrils. But yeah, so we're going to pull that wheel. We're going to replace that wheel bearing. We got the new hub bearing sitting over here. It comes all as one unit. So let me show you guys that real quick. So one of the nice things about some of these newer vehicles is that they use a unit bearing. And that's what it looks like right there. It is all one unit. Comes with the hub, the bearing holder, and the ABS sensor. So very cool. Most of these new ones got 3 bolts on the back that hold it into the knuckle. Those 3 bolts will come out, and the only problem we're going to have is actually getting this bearing out of the knuckle, but I'll show you guys a couple tricks on getting those out, and then a couple tricks to have them not screw themselves up again and get stuck in there. So alright, so we are now going to pull that wheel off. Once we get that wheel off, I'll bring you guys in a little bit closer and we'll show you the steps that are necessary to get this thing out of here. Alright guys, so now that we got the wheel off, basically what we're going to do is we need to take off the caliper, we need to take off the caliper bracket, we've got to kind of undo the ABS sensor wire here, and then on the very back of here, there's 3 bolts that hold in, you can see one of them right there, that hold in the wheel bearing itself. Now we're going to have to take the front nut off too. This front nut is actually a very weird size, so if there's anything out there that you might have trouble with when you're doing this job, is this. You need this 35mm socket. So we're going to take the axle nut off, we're going to take the caliper off, we're going to take the caliper bracket off, and yeah, so here we go. These are a T55 Torx, in case you're wondering. Alright, I'll just pull this pistons back a little bit, just so we got some free room in there. Oh, I hope this is staying in focus for you guys. We just did brakes on this thing a few months ago, so the brakes are mint. So now we got to take the caliper bracket off, which looks like those are 18s, I believe. Ha! Right on the money. Let's zip these off of here. Hold on to this thing so it doesn't hit you in the foot. These things hurt like hell. Now we can take the rotor off. And we'll take the axle nut off with our 35mm, not camera. Alright, now the last time I did wheel bearings on this thing, which was a while ago, threw some anti-seize on there to make sure that these axles will come out of the bearing. So what I like to do is just give them a quick tap. I don't know if you could see that move, but that's what we want. It moved. So now we're going to take the 3 15mm bolts out that hold this wheel bearing in, and we will unclip the sensor wire. Alright, so let's unclip this sensor wire. There's a clip up here. You just squeeze it with a pair of pliers and pull on it. And then this clip, your new sensor or your new bearing will actually come with all of the wiring and all the clips and everything else. So you can pull these right out of the knuckle itself, or the upper control arm, or whatever you're connected to. You just get them right out of there. There we go. We'll get this one up. And these are just this Christmas tree style connectors that push in and lock. There's another one up here where the connector actually attaches to the top of the shock tower. So we'll get that guy off, and there's your wire. So we'll peel that away. Now what I like to do with these 15 mils is I take 2 wrenches and we put one of them on the bolt. Then we take the other wrench and we do the old interlocking style, which you basically stick it in, lock it, and you get double the amount of leverage so that you can crack these loose fairly easily. There's one. There's 2. And for the third one, we'll rotate the steering back over. And we'll get a hold of that third one. Now these are pretty common issues on these trucks, guys. All the Chevy stuff tended to have some issues with this. Not a real big deal to replace, not very difficult. You can usually do them. I mean, we're doing this real time here, so this is probably going to be a 20-minute video or so, maybe a little bit longer, but it won't be too bad. So now that we have those loose, we'll go over to the Makita 3/8 with a 15mm swivel socket. Now in some cases, guys, these bolts will be rusted so bad, especially if you live in the Northeast. like we do here in Connecticut, the bolts will be rusted on the inside of the wheel bearing assembly here, and they'll be super difficult to get out. They'll be super angry. And so if you can't get them out, you'll need to replace, you can't get to that one, you'll need to replace the bolts themselves, which you can buy those from most auto parts stores, so not a huge deal. Yeah, we might have to do by hand. Let's see, do we have room? I don't know. I was hoping we'd have room for a ratcheting guy, but since we're doing that by hand, shoot that with a little bit of juice. Crank this puppy out. Ooh, we might get lucky on this one. This thing's got 160,000 miles on it, so I'm pretty sure that these bearings have probably been done before. They usually only last about 60,000 miles, especially with these heavier vehicles. And again, being in the Northeast, we got sand and salt and everything else that's playing against these bearings, making them very angry, very noisy. And surprisingly enough, guys, this one wasn't making any noise whatsoever. I took it out for a ride just to confirm, because it did come from another shop. Took it out for a ride to confirm. Had no bearing noise whatsoever in the front end. And so I was kind of skeptical about the estimate that was given by the previous shop, but turns out they were right. It's just one of those things. Just because it's not making noise doesn't mean it's not broken. So that's another thing to consider. Keep in mind is that you might not always have noise when a wheel bearing fails, but the wheel bearing may have failed. So now we got all three bolts loose. They're all out. Now what we have to do is we have to knock this out of the freaking knuckle. That's where things can get hairy. That's where I usually have to break out the air hammer. These don't look too bad, so I may be able, since we're not using this bearing, I can wail on it back here with a small sledgehammer, and we'll see if we can get the bearing to come out of the actual housing. Let's see what happens. It moved a little bit. There we're going. Alright, now we're going to break out the air hammer and use the air hammer on the rest of this. Alright, well, not Erico's Big Nasty, but should do the trick. So we're just going to get in behind here and try to just kind of blow this thing out. Woohoo! Kind of knocked you guys out there. Sorry about that. Alright. Should be able to tap that the rest of the way out. Or maybe not. It's getting there. There we go. All right. See? Here's our problem. That's the seal for the back of this wheel bearing. So now, ugh, you can hear that. And yes, we did mess up the backing shield a little bit. That happens. We'll just knock it off, straighten it out, and it'll be good to go. Be none the wiser. So I like to get in there and just clean these things up. A little bit of a wire brush, which will clean all the bullshit that's inside here. Excuse me, all the crap that's inside here, and will allow you to get something in there. Now a lot of people use anti-seize, but we're going to use something different as soon as I find it. So instead of anti-seize, we like to use fluid film. Fluid film is a nice, non-toxic, lanolin based coating. It seems to work really, really well in Connecticut when it comes to an anti-seize agent. And the best part is, when you get it all over yourself, it comes off. Which, unlike anti-seize, which ends up all over the place, this stuff sprays on and kind of sticks where it's at. Alright, so here's the new wheel bearing. Here's all the new stuff, and like I said, it comes with all the, probably can't see that, but it comes with all the clips and everything. So now we're going to take our straightened out backing plate. I really need a bigger shop, guys. I keep losing things. What did I do with the backing plate? I just had it in my hand, and now it is no longer in my hand. Oh, there it is. Alright, so put this on first. It's got a slot in it. The slot for the ABS sensor. I'll stick that back on there. Might have to give it a little tap. Now we can slide this guy back in, and remember which way that your ABS sensor and your shield go, because it's kind of important that you put it back that way. So, and if you'll notice, I also fluid filmed the splines on our axle shaft, because that's one of the troublesome areas too. Alright, now we'll zip these back in quick. And of course we'll hit this one up top. Took us forever and a day last time. Looks like it's doing the same this time. And whatever little bit of bend we have in that heat, or that dust shield, will straighten itself out once we get all these tightened up. Click. That one's better. Alright, so now, only thing we gotta do, we gotta run our ABS wire, which the old Napa conveniently taped up in a strange little circle for us with tape that doesn't ever come off. So like I was saying, see, it's got the little Christmas tree style deals on it. Already comes with all the connectors. Now where you might run into a problem is where we did here, where the Christmas tree didn't come all the way out. So we're going to have to get the old yank and make it infinitely shorter until we can pop it out. Okay, so we do clip right there and go under our caliper brake line, because if you don't, you're going to have to take everything back apart again. And we'll slide that one into that guy, and then this one into this guy, and then this one plugs in up here to our ABS harness. Occasionally. Ah, there you go. It helps when you actually put the connector together the right way. Alright, so now we're going to put the axle nut back on. There's that. We'll give this a couple of nice ugga-duggas. We'll hit it with the torque wrench. Or maybe we'll just hit it with this wrench. There we go. That's nice and tight. Again, we will torque to make sure. Hold on one second. Alright, so we checked that. We were a little bit shy. It's a good thing we checked it with the torque wrench. We're at 177 foot-pounds now. We're good to go on that one. So literally all we have to do now, put our caliper bracket back on, put our rotor on, well, rotor, then caliper bracket, then caliper, put the wheel back on, and this one's a done deal. So I hope that was informative for you guys. It's really not a difficult process, especially if you live in a climate where there's not as much rust as we have here, and you don't have to go crazy with the air hammers and the regular hammers and everything else trying to beat these bearings out. But relatively straightforward. Only real special tool you need is that 35 millimeters. Not a whole lot of people that have those laying around their house, so be prepared for that. Everything else is the two bracket bolts are 18 millimeters, T55 Torx for the caliper bolts, and yeah, so that's really about it. So hope this helped you guys out that might be replacing a wheel bearing, like I said, in anything. Escalade, Yukon, Tahoe, Suburban, 1500 pickup truck, 2500 pickup truck. They're all pretty much the same. So yeah, on to the next one. I will see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that comment. Let me know what you think. I'll do more of these if you guys like seeing them. So, alright everybody, have a good night.